As architects, you're working with very real things, budgets, materials, codes, but at the same time, you're working with ideas, beliefs, perceptions, the senses, and a belief that architecture is something that, yes, we make it, but ultimately it also makes us.
One of the important missions of this organization is that we circulate, that we show up where music and string players might not be available or present, and we kind of make opportunities happen with young people where they are. So circulation is really important. And when we bought the land at 1326 Westminster in 2017, the idea was to build a new building there that would be that stronger heart to our circulatory system.
The idea of this circulation and this kind of spiraling was always in the back of our heads. And then given this site, which is a skewed parallelogram, if you're someone like me who thinks about geometry a lot, you see this kind of internal order of that circulation, of that rotation. And so that's basically the diagram of the building.
One process that I like to follow when designing a new music space is to very much start from the subjective goals. What do we want people to experience? So sonically, it comes into how much reverberation, how much envelopment, how much clarity, what kind of timbre. Is it a warm sound? Is it a clear sound? Is it a crystal sound? And so we engaged in those conversations with Sebastian, and also we looked at a number of different benchmarks and other project examples.
The use of wood was something that was important to Sebastian. He had visited some places where he really appreciated the simplicity and the rawness of wood. But it was also something that we felt the community would embrace because of the fact that it's sustainable and it's a great carbon sink.
So the foundation is almost complete. If you drive by, you can see the slab that's going to be the basement floor. This metal pole you see behind me right here is actually a structural support column, and it's going to be one of the only steel poles in the entire building. Everything else is going to be made out of wood.
So obviously one of the big features is the CLT, right?
Yeah.
That's something that was new to everybody.
This is only, from what I understand, maybe one of two buildings in the state.
That are structural CLT.
Pure.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's unlike anything else, right? That's unlike erecting steel and...
It is, because as you can see, this is finish.
Yeah.
So we're dealing with a finished product, which needs to be handled properly.
But also the install. Like the install is screw guns,
Yeah.
right? It just gets screwed together.
Yeah, well, let's look at this right here. You can see some of these seams that are stitched where these panels come together, right?
Yeah.
So
Is that like tongue and groove in there?
it's a shiplap.
Yeah. This was its own interesting challenge. I know in the design process, it was all open originally, but didn't work for fire codes.
Right.
But the architect's concept, this is an example of one of the triangles that's formed by the two sets of lines. And they, I think, brilliantly said, like, that's how light gets in.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting, right? There's no lights on here.
The jewel boxes were spaces that you will find in palaces or castles. And the jewel box used to be the room before the main Great Hall. In particular, Haydn had used a room very similar to the room at Community MusicWorks. It was the benchmark that we used, which is in some ways a nice story because it's a building that celebrates classical music and violin in particular. And that room probably has had one of the most influence of all of the music space in the history of classical music.
The block party was truly transformative. It was magical. The building was alive, and to see kids clamoring around, playing, feeling, in a way, encouraged by the building to literally be alive in it in their own fantastic, magical way was probably the best possible gift back to us.
Being in the building now, compared with imagining it, it was initially a delight to see the students come in with a sense of awe. But I think my more favorite observation is now, many months in, seeing the normalcy of the patterns, and people are not in awe anymore. It's just a comfortable place. There's this element of just being able to welcome people into our space, but there's also the element that the very mission is being actualized every time there's a concert. So the glass wall in the performance hall that leads to the openable glass wall into the street means that anytime we're doing something, it is visible to the street. And being visible to the street means people are hopefully understanding that it's designed to be permeable, right? If we're in a museum or a church, if you know we have a show there that night, it has significance. But here, we're doing a show and somebody might just literally walk by and see what's on stage and drift in and ask and come into the concert. And it turns out that in every performance that has happened. Somebody has found it just because they've been walking by.